It's Sunday evening here, and the sun is going down really fast. I suspect that while I do this video, it's just going to continue to get darker and darker in my room, but I love this time of day. I'm kind of coming at this video in my pajamas already, no makeup, kind of weird hair. It's just a relaxing kind of day. Done a little bit of this and that today, but really not a whole lot of anything I could even report on. Spent some time with my children, just kind of got some home stuff done and all of the things. But what's on my mind today is that as I sit here doing this video, on the way to my home right now are family members. My mother is coming to stay with me tonight, and she lives in Baton Rouge, and I suspect highly that my mom's not watching these videos. So if she is, she's about to get a dose of real talk. But I really don't think she is. So anybody else who's watching this video might get a dose of real talk. There are people in this world who want to kind of crack themselves open and examine what's inside, and maybe even take the next steps after that to take responsibility for things they might have done in their lives to hurt other people, or maybe make major changes in their own insight and personal process and kind of do that hard work. My mother is not one of those people. My mother is a complicated person in my life. And really since, I'm 50 now, so since I was around 8 or 9 years old, she's maybe before then, but since I've had kind of a concrete memory, she's been a complex person in my life. And as I said, not necessarily somebody who's going to really examine her stuff. In fact, she has walls and walls and walls of concrete denial built around her in ways that are just immeasurable. And I think that's created a lot of difficulties for her. She's made choices not to ever crack herself open. And as a person who is in her world, and other people who are in her world, I think that's a really difficult thing. And so that's, where I come from in a very brief way. I have a very, complicated relationship with my mother. And as someone who myself has actually worked really hard to crack myself open, I would say really the last 6 years or so, I've had to come to terms with that. I've had to come to terms with the grief and the loss, and had to kind of mourn the relationship with my mother that I've never had, and I never will have, that I know that people I love and know in my world do have with their mothers. And I've had to kind of work really hard to just kind of accept that. And also to try my hardest to love my mother for what she can give me. And set really, really strong boundaries to keep myself emotionally protected from the things she can't give me, or the things that she gives me that I may not want to have or deserve. So, and also I think as I've cracked myself open, it's been harder for me to tolerate stuff like that from her and from others who have been challenging in my life. And I think that's great work, because now I'm more assertive and I'm able to, like I said, have better boundaries. But it's made it more difficult to tolerate now some of the things that I used to be able to kind of, well, for lack of a better word, tolerate before. So in order for when my mother comes, and this is actually the first time she's visited my home. I've lived in this home since July, and it's February 2nd. It's the first time she's been here. So it's kind of a big deal. And so there's a level of anxiety right now in my household that isn't normally there. And certainly within me, there is as well. So, that's what's on my mind. And of course, I work with people in my office as a therapist over the years who've had really painful relationships with their mothers, certainly their fathers too, but just since we're on the topic of mothers, it's a common thread. And there's something in therapy speak that's called transference and countertransference. And in the most simple way I can possibly say, it's kind of like when my stuff, it's the way that my stuff works on my client and their stuff works on me and vice versa. So if I'm hearing things from my clients that spark something, a feeling in me, that adds to what's happening in therapy. And again, kind of vice versa. They're learning and there's something from what I'm giving that they're getting. And so mother relationships are a real common thread for a lot of people. And obviously, there are wonderful things about my mother as a human. She's taught me the wonder of wildlife, how to love being independent, how to thrive, maybe not thrive, but how to survive as an independent woman, because she's done that. She's the one who taught me the love of a road trip. So there's many things that my mother has given me in my life. But it still remains a fairly painful relationship for me to navigate. But I'm getting better at it the older I get, and the more work I do on myself. So I think that that's where my thoughts are, and I'm just kind of working through that as she comes to visit. So, and the work that I'm going to do tonight, and I'm going to do actually, I'm going to do right now in this video, but even when I turn off the video, I'm going to sit and meditate. I actually want to release some of the tension so we all have to learn kind of where we carry our tension. It's very helpful to know because we do body scans and we can kind of scan our bodies for tension that might be hiding there, but I've gotten to know my body and I know where I carry my tension, and it does tend to be in my neck and shoulders and again in my chest. And so I'm going to do kind of a brief little work, not really scanning my body, but just a little minutia, that's not the right word, a little miniature perhaps body scan just of this particular area so that I can work on relaxing that tension, which will help me enjoy my mother's visit as much as I'm able to this evening. And before I do that, one of the other things that I have, like we all do, I have a lot of memories of my childhood that aren't necessarily warm, but I have a lot of warm memories of my childhood as well, and those are really important to focus on when I'm looking back. And one of the things that has brought me the most joy in my life, as I talk about regularly, is music. And even though there was a lot of discord in my house growing up, one of the things that I really relished as a child was the sound. We had a turntable. We had one. I have this memory of the sound. We would stack the records on the turntable, like say at night. And as one would play, the next one would drop and start playing. And then when that one would finish, the one on top of it would drop and start playing. And there's a certain, that sound evokes a really warm, peaceful memory for me. Because at night when things would get quiet, on the nights that they were quiet, that's the sound that I would often hear. It's just the sound of records playing. And so my mother also introduced me to a lot of the music that I still love so much. And so the song that I'm going to add to my playlist tonight really evokes these good feelings. I love Stevie Wonder a whole lot. And his album, which is a double album, is called Songs in the Key of Life, and was, I'm sure at the time, just the most groundbreaking album, and it's still, I think, on many people's top 10 album lists of all time. And the opening track to that song is a song called Love's in Need of Love Today. And that song starts off that beautiful double album that for him, like much of his music, I would say is really spiritual. And that song, I think, also feels symbolic to me, as I think that when I look at my mother and all that she carries for me, I know that deep inside she's wounded. We all have core wounds that we walk around with, and what's helped me kind of establish a better relationship with my mother is understanding more about kind of where she came from. And I think that what people need from their earliest days, of course, is love. And right now, our world always, of course, needs it now. But so individuals, communities need love, but love's in need of love today is the beautiful song that I'm going to add in honor of the good things that my mother has brought to my life. So I'm going to add that to my playlists. And I'm just going to do a quick, like I said, miniature body scan. And if you want to do it with me, I encourage you to do that. So just start with your feet on the floor. Sit in a position that's comfortable for you. I'm going to rest my hands in my lap. I think for a neck and shoulders kind of tension scan, it's helpful to be sitting up so that you can really focus on those, but you could also do this laying down if that feels better to you. Close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. I will keep mine open just for this video, but when I hang up and do my own little tension scan and do this a little further, I will close my eyes. And just sit up as straight as you can and take those breaths that will bring you some cleansing of your body, but also start to release some of that tension that is stored perhaps in your chest. So feel the air as it comes into your nose, as it leaves your mouth. You're going to want to try to bring that air as far down into your lungs as you can for this and every mind-body exercise that we do. Just going to do an upper body tension scan. We're just looking for any tension that might be in your head, your face, your neck, and your shoulders. I'm going to start as we breathe just to bring focus to these parts of our body, one area at a time. I'm going to start with our scalp and our forehead. So you breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. See if you can feel any tension in your scalp and in your forehead. With each breath, see if you can loosen your forehead just the tiniest bit. Just let your eyebrows hang softly. And just keep breathing. With each exhale, see if you can let your face soften just the tiniest bit with every breath. Is your jaw feeling tense? Just let it hang slack as you exhale. It certainly helps to let your jaw hang slack so that you can exhale out of your mouth. A lot of us carry tension in our jaws and can even create tension headaches from that, and even worse problems that come from chronic tension. So it's a good idea to, every time you breathe like this, to just scan for that part of your body. Rest your tongue. Sometimes we hold our tongues against our palate as a means of holding tension. And just continue again to breathe in through your nose all the way down to the bottom of your lungs. And with every exhale, just focus on releasing the tension in your face, in your jaw, your scalp. I'm going to move down to the neck. See if you're holding any tension there. You might want to just turn your head a little bit side to side. And with every breath, see if you can relax and soften that part of your body just the tiniest bit. We need our necks, obviously, to carry a little bit of tension to do their job. But sometimes we can find ourselves clenched there in ways that we're not aware of until we focus on that part of our body in an exercise like this. Next, move down to the shoulders and the chest and see again, maybe pushing your shoulders back just a tiny bit and opening your chest. You can kind of lift your shoulders a little and see if you're feeling any tension there. And with every breath, with every exhale, I'd like you to just let your shoulders hang loose. Sometimes it's nice to visualize them just melting into the upper part of your back. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Again, if you're in a place where you can make a sound with your exhale, go for it. Might help you release that tension just the tiniest bit. Just visualize your neck and your shoulders being soft. And just, again, hanging loose and melting into the upper part of your body, your back. This is an easy exercise you can do when you're sitting at your desk, hunched over your computer. Such like a 5-minute break that you can do. You don't even have to get up, although of course I advocate getting up and moving around when you're at work. But for me, this is helpful tonight as I know this is where I carry my tension and I'm about to be in a situation that might create a little anxiety and tension for myself. So I'm going to focus on trying to, even while I'm in the midst of cooking dinner or sitting with my mom, doing whatever, that I'm just going to take almost an imperceptible moment to just relax that part of my body and breathe. And hopefully will bring just a little bit more peace into my evening.